FiyahKitteh.
And hello everybody, SlimKirby here.
And this is the Sony part of the E3 talks.
Yes. Sony's big thing this year was, well, like Microsoft's on their new console, the PlayStation 4.
Pretty much. But first of all, we had a nice multimedia trailer before anything happened.
Yeah.
Which honestly promised a lot.
Yeah, like when we saw this trailer, I mean, it was really nice. You saw a lot of gameplay, a lot of content, and it really gets you pumped for what's going to be shown in this conference.
Yes, and the jingle they used in between, like, the speakers was, you know, if you know that lyric part, "Welcome to the New Age."
Yeah. Welcome to the New Age.
From the Radioactive song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they kept using that. So it's all about, it's pretty much like in all the other conferences, it's all about the next gen, the new age, and, you know, all that stuff. So, yes.
First, they actually talked about the PlayStation Vita very quickly,
Well, actually PS Vita and PS3, because they still had stuff to announce for those consoles.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, that's true.
So...
they started with the next chapter of The Walking Dead by Telltale Games, Walking Dead 400 Days for PlayStation Vita. And you can also get the first season, which was 5 episodes of the game that released last year, periodically through the year. And we really love that game, so...
yeah, basically The Walking Dead episode 400 Days. If you get that, you get the whole first season, and he actually mentioned a bunch of other bonus content. He didn't say specifically what, he just said other bonus content.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what it is.
Yeah, but awesome. We love The Walking Dead, so...
That was a good... Well, actually, it wasn't their opener because they actually opened with a bunch of stats, and they being Jack Tretton, so the president and CEO. So he opened with a bunch of stats, and then he went over into, hey, look, The Walking Dead. Yay.
Yeah. And also for the PS Vita, they also kind of talked about how their Skype, Netflix, and YouTube services have been very good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's basically it.
A little bit of stats.
Yeah, stats.
Yep. So, The Walking Dead, and then we had a game called The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
By the creators of Uncharted, right? Is that the...
Yes, that's the one. I personally like Uncharted. It kind of looked a bit like Resident Evil.
Yeah, it really did.
It reminded me of Resident Evil because, you know, there were some monsters and stuff and just shooting her. And, yeah, it looked like Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
That's pretty good.
Also, at this point, we should probably mention that this whole conference thing, this whole stream, whatever, or event, didn't have a whole lot of info about any titles.
Yeah.
So if it seems like we're rushing through, it's not because we forgot stuff or because I don't know, it's just because it didn't say a lot. Just a warning here, I guess.
There were a lot of name drops, but not a lot of information, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
So then they also showed a few other PlayStation 3 titles. They showed The Puppeteer, which didn't really show much of that. It looked kind of wacky and crazy and...
Well, it seemed like a platformer, and it had pumpkin swings and...
Oh yeah, pumpkin swings.
Like this weird dragon thing. It's probably an end boss. It looked pretty cool because I'm personally a fan of Halloween. It looked a little Halloween themed. I don't know if it's, you know, if it's true, but Puppeteer, maybe it's ghostly, you know.
Yeah.
Like ghostly somehow. Sounds a little bit, I mean, if you control a puppet.
That's true.
For the love of everything, right?
For the love of everything, you control a puppet. And next, we also had another very, very short little name drop of Rain.
Yes, Rain. That's literally the whole title of the game, and it looked a little bit like, I don't know if they were ghosts, but they were transparent and wide outlined, so I'm assuming it's ghosts. It looked like a game about a ghost kid.
Yeah,
of some sort.
That's all I got from it, basically.
We don't know though. Again, they didn't say
Mhm.
anything. They just played trailer after trailer after trailer. So that's all. All we can tell you right now is
Yeah.
mostly what we picked up from the visuals. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So moving on, we have Beyond Two Souls.
With apparently Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, to me, it looked a little bit, or it reminded me of Full Metal Jacket, the movie.
Yeah.
Because it was military based. So basically, here, this is your target. Go and eliminate it, and then you had to do training like in Full Metal Jacket. And she was getting. It was a female character. She was getting constantly criticized and kind of almost, trashed a little bit. So that's why I'm like, this looks like Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
It has a few stealth elements too, apparently.
Yeah.
She was sneaking around at some point. And, lots of shooting, so.
Mm-hmm. So now that we've gone over shooting, let's get into the racing fans out there, because there's Gran Turismo 6.
Yes, unfortunately, it doesn't look as good as Forza.
Yeah.
However, ironically, they called it the real driving simulator, and I'm like... Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of interesting looking tracks, though.
Also, they did mention a lot of stuff. For example, new physics engine, new suspension mode, new aerodynamics model, new rendering engine, and I'm like, okay, we get it. You're awesome. All right.
We get it. You're making things more advanced.
And the new tire model.
Oh, the new tire model. I almost forgot about that.
I'm like, okay, you're trying to outdo Forza, so good luck.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Gran Turismo, but Forza just looks a lot better to both of us, it seems.
Yes, pretty much.
But for those who love Gran Turismo, I'm sure it's up your alley.
Pretty much.
Next, they talked about a classic series coming back, classic character of some kind, and they jumped into Batman Arkham Origins.
Pretty much. It's coming out on the 25th of October this year.
Mm-hmm.
They have it, or they showed pictures of Bane.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Warner Brothers partnership, obviously, and you apparently get Nightfall download content and a 1960s TV series Batman skin download too. It's PS exclusive, so that was kind of neat.
Interesting. And they're also kind of doing this whole PlayStation exclusive with multi-platform games with the next title, Grand Theft Auto 5, which comes out this September. And for the PlayStation 3 exclusively, there is a bundle of the console and the game, and you can also get a headset. And they said more info was coming, but they did release, again, the date is September 17th, and it's apparently $299 US. Mm-hmm. Really puts the $699 price into perspective when the PS3 first came out.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah. And with that's pretty much concluded the PlayStation...
PS3 and Vita.
Yeah, that concluded that section, and they're jumping right into the PlayStation 4.
Yes. It was the president and group CEO, Andrew House, who I'm kind of appreciating that they didn't change speakers all the friggin' time like in other, in other conferences.
Yeah.
Because, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, they seem to have a, excuse me, they seem to have a person that was just about all the features, a person just for the PS4, and a person just for all the online indie developers. So they really structured that very well. First, for the PlayStation 4, we have...
Wait. You skipped something, dude.
Oh, I did?
You skipped... They first showed the actual PS4 for the first time.
Oh, right. Yeah, they did. I thought that was later.
It basically looks like a parallelogram.
Yeah.
It's like this box or this cube, and it has, if you look at it from the side, it has this parallel or this diagonal ends. So it's like a parallelogram, really. Other than that, it was black, dark, grayish.
Mm-hmm.
Had a middle stripe, kind of. And, it looked like a console. What do you think?
Honestly, yeah, the hardware itself looked pretty good.
It reminded me of an Xbox a little.
A little bit, yeah. And the one thing that kind of made me weird, maybe I need to see a better picture of it, but the controller looked kind of strange. It looked like kind of a box almost.
No, it was just this thing, like this shape.
Yeah, but like the middle part looked like it was like a straight box almost. Maybe it was just the picture they showed.
I felt like it looks like the PS, the standard PS controllers, except
yeah.
I didn't see any like analog sticks.
Mm.
But then again, they just showed a picture of that the controller anyways, and it was just on this huge screen. They didn't like really show it too well, in my opinion. So I don't know, it could be wrong.
Okay, well, sorry for that. Let's actually get into the game lineup now.
Do we need to mention that they spent a whole lot of amount of times after they showed the PS2 or the PS4 explaining their Sony Entertainment?
I didn't really notice that, but did you? Or
Yes, because they showed the PS4 first, and then they spent a lot of time talking about. They kind of went the Microsoft route here, not in a good way. From last year, I mean, not from this year, where they pretty much started talking about all the entertainment that you can get on the PS4, you know, like music and movies and TV shows, and they went on for at least 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
And I was sitting there and I'm like,
yeah,
that's great and all, and you know, that's awesome for everybody's interested, but games?
I
Like,
know.
they throw you in, they show the PS4, and then it's like, well, let's first talk about our entertainment stuff. And I'm like, that's great, but games?
Yeah.
Because they were going on and on about how the PS3 is, I quote, the #1 device to stream Netflix content to the living room. And I'm like, again, that's great, and that's great if people are interested in that, but games?
Yeah, I know. You see, that's kind of why I've been, like we said earlier, we're kind of trying to get through here so fast, because like there was so much that you just not really much to take note of. Like, I mean, all these other things is like, get to the games, let's just get to that, we want to see that, and it's just, you shouldn't spend so much time on the entertainment aspect of it, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what people upset people in the previous years when Microsoft did that, when they focused so much on the entertainment thing and basically had no games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they kind of took this route, unfortunately, this time.
It almost feels like they just like swapped roles completely.
Yeah, it's like Microsoft is really good this year. Probably one of the best if we would have to rate it.
Yeah.
Which
we're not going
really.
to.
Yeah. But, and then PlayStation or Sony was just kind of like, I don't know, they just had few trailers in the beginning for PS3 and Vita, which, you know, I get it. You want to move on from the quote-unquote old consoles, even though Vita is still up to date, you know? So they showed trailer after trailer, and then they quickly showed a freaking new console. Everybody was excited or interested to see that, at least curious. And then they move on to the entertainment thing that just, and all those stats in between do too. I feel like they cut time that they could have used to show more of the games, to just give you stats and stuff that's not really interesting.
Yeah.
As in, but then again, they kept saying this is all content tailored for gamers. For example, during the whole entertainment part, they kept saying that, but what does that even mean?
No idea.
So unfortunately, we were honestly both kind of disappointed at that point, especially with that opening multimedia trailer that played at the very, very beginning.
That looked awesome.
Yeah, it's like it promised so much, but then the first part was just a bunch of trailers after each other, and then they showed a PS4 quickly, and then that freaking entertainment thing, and we're like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
They could have actually got off by telling more like features, like one thing I didn't really announce is like the backwards compatibility or really anything, but we'll get into that later because that's going to be a big thing we're going to talk about. But
I don't know how much time that already went by at this point in the actual conference, but it was a lot of time and still nothing, you know, for us to grasp. Like, what is actually new, like on the PS4? What is actually coming? What should we be excited for?
And funnily enough, this is the longest conference too. This was like almost 2 hours.
Yeah, almost 2 hours. There you go.
So that's a big problem, at least to me anyway.
Hey, move on with games, right?
Yes, okay. So for the PlayStation 4, we have The Order, which I didn't really have much written down for this one.
Well, it was basically a trailer that seemed to play in the Middle Ages. There was a horse carriage, and there was some sort of monster jumping at them, and we don't know anything else.
Yeah. Didn't you say it was like BioShock Infinite mixed with something else, or?
I don't know.
Yeah. It looked interesting, I guess.
I don't know what to think of it at all, because I'm like, well, what's the story? What's going on? What do you have to do? What's the gameplay? Like...
Yeah, this is during the time the name dropping thing kind of just kept happening.
Yeah, in any case, it's a PS4 game, so yeah, right?
Yeah. Okay, next game, Killzone Shadowfall. It's Killzone.
Well, it looked like it was a shooter, and that's all I can tell you, really.
Yeah.
The best way to sum it up is pew pew pew. There you go.
Very great way to sum it up.
Yep.
Next we have Drive Club, which another game that looks like Forza but is not even close to Forza.
Basically, it's a racing game of some sort, but again, it was just a trailer of what, a minute or so.
Yeah, less than that. My God. Then we had Infamous: The Second Son.
It looked like he was some sort of, they called him terrorist in the game, and he had some supernatural powers, which this is the one that reminded me of BioShock, because he used his two hands to do there was some red stuff coming out. It's like the fingers and whatnot. And he was creating lots of explosions, and honestly, as dumb as this sounds for a game description, I can't tell you more. It looked like BioShock Infinite mechanics, as in with the vigors and whatnot. You're using your hands to shoot some red stuff and create explosions. I think it could beam or fly too, or some stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of fire came from his hands.
Lots of explosions.
So if you love explosions, this is the game for you. And then finally we had Knack. Again, they showed 20 seconds of it. Didn't see anything.
That reminded me of a sort of Digimon, sorry, with some sort of elemental golems.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I can say, as sad as it is.
And then like they combined these last 4 games together, and they were like, okay, so all of these are going to be at the PS4 at launch. They said Infamous would be in 2014. But
actually one more for PS4 that day.
What?
There's one more game.
Well,
that
I'm not. I'm going to that one next. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, those were the release dates for those. And then we got a glimpse of another game, the Dark Sorcerer.
From Quantic Dream Production. It was basically this trailer with a sorcerer like doing his summoning or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, he was interrupted, and I think he asked a question, and then it turns out it was like a film set with a green screen on the floor.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny, but
You saw nothing about the actual game.
The only thing they said is there's gonna be a demo at the PlayStation booth or at the Sony booth.
Yeah, which has already happened by this point. So.
But from the actual conference, you couldn't take a whole lot of.
No, you really couldn't.
Out of it. It looked funny. The trailer was funny because green screen, film set, whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't know what it is.
Yep.
Okay. This is the part where.
Oh gosh.
Where they explained how they support small developers, so basically like Microsoft. And this was bad. They just named a bunch of games, and they just said what kind of genre it is, and that's it. Like they played a little clip. It was like what, 5 to 10 seconds. I had troubles keeping up with writing down, and I'm almost tempted to put this just in the video description, because it's just a bunch of game names and what the genre is. One of them actually was Don't Starve,
which is a game we both love.
It's on Steam, so.
Yeah, it's on Steam. That's a really good game. But yeah, they basically just spent like, it even seemed like it was a long time. They spent little time on the actual games, but then just, I don't know, it just seemed to drag for such a small coverage. It was kind of weird. I don't know why. It was weird.
Well, we're going to put them in the video description so you can read them, because there's no point in us reading them, because it's just going to be like a list of games, pretty much.
Pretty much.
And unfortunately, that's how it was in the conference.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
That's what they did, so.
Until here, the conference was actually very, very disappointing. And I was annoyed, personally.
Me too, I was very annoyed.
Because it's just, they spent the time, they didn't use the time well. But, from here on, they actually picked back up.
They did a little bit.
Thankfully, because oh my god, okay.
Okay, so first, we have Diablo III.
And apparently there's some extra items in the game that you get, again, PS exclusive, such as one of the items from Uncharted. I think it was an amulet that he's wearing or something. I forgot. They mentioned everything so quickly. I think it's an amulet from Uncharted, like his amulet.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, but.
Plus, they also mentioned that the game will be available on both PS3 and PS4. So, not just PS4 exclusive. And then they brought out a virtual message from the, is it like the president of Squaresoft or Square Enix?
I don't know what it was, just, yeah.
Yeah, developer, producer, president, I don't remember the title, who gave us some trailers of 3 games. First, they mentioned that Final Fantasy Versus 13 will be taking a little more time to be developed, but they still showed some content from that. They showed content from Final Fantasy 15, and then they also showed a trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yep, which said now in development.
Yeah.
The Final Fantasy thing almost looked a bit like, no offense, but it looked a bit like a Devil May Cry knockoff with RPG elements.
Yeah.
I don't know, because at first we weren't even sure if it's Final Fantasy. It's like, is it Final Fantasy or is it not? There was this character who reminded me of Dante a bit.
Yeah.
With a sword, just, you know, like the typical Devil May Cry gameplay, and I'm like, the hell?
Yeah, and there was like, I don't know, it almost looked like indirect combat inside of a house, but then it was Final Fantasy. It was actually a Final Fantasy game, so that kind of confused me a little, but it was a surprise. It did surprise me a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and as for Kingdom Hearts 3, they didn't really show much footage. They just showed mostly little clips and parts of cutscenes from the other games in the series. Yep. They only showed like a very, very short 5-second clip of the new game. And they also mentioned that you should, if you want to, relive the Kingdom Hearts experience by getting the HD remakes, I believe.
Yeah.
So, those will be available. And that's pretty much it for Squaresoft.
Square Enix, yeah.
Square Enix, I know them as Squaresoft from a long time ago.
I see.
So.
Well, that's pretty much that from them. Then we saw Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which, yeah, we mentioned in a lot of other conferences, but they actually had gameplay. Except...
Unfortunately!
Except, apparently, like, at some point it kept freezing, which was massively, like, oh my god, that was bad.
It was terrible.
And they had to end that segment prematurely because it didn't move anymore. And I'm like, that's great to happen with a new system and your live conference, right? Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny because, like, I was getting kind of... When it started freezing up the first time, I thought it was bad just because, like, oh, are these the transitions from, like, cutscene to a real-time gameplay? And then, no, they started freezing during the middle of, like, live combat. It's like, oh, wow, it's actually freezing. It's glitching up badly.
Wow. Yeah, that was bad.
Not good, but aside from that, the gameplay did look good, I guess.
Well, it looks like you'd expect an
it's
Assassin's Creed to
so,
be, really.
Yeah.
Except you're a pirate. But...
Mm-hmm. And they also continued kind of the tradition of showing gameplay for games that we've already kind of talked about in other conferences, because they also showed Watchdogs.
Which we didn't have a lot of info on, really.
Not really, but...
But, so it was good they showed footage.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a little bit of Grand Theft Auto mixed with, like, just the hacking elements of Watchdogs. Which I thought was kind of cool. I am definitely looking forward to that title.
Well, I'm not... It's an interesting concept, I feel like, personally, but it's not like I would kill myself over it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my stance, too.
Like, if I'm bored sometime and I don't have anything better to do, then... Which, I don't get bored, really, so... Whoops.
Yeah. Okay. Then we went to 2K Games, which brought out NBA 2K14. Not really much of a gameplay clip, more just one of the basketball players, LeBron James,
yeah,
talking to his video game version of himself.
Virtual self, yeah. It was funny.
They actually do look pretty similar. The only difference is the video game version has like a much bigger mouth and...
Well, it was a bit more smudgy,
but so far they are making it more realistic. I guess you have to give them credit there, I suppose.
Well, okay, sure, okay.
Okay.
And then we had The Elder Scrolls Online, which comes out in spring 2014. And it said that there's a beta exclusively available on PS4, or for PS4 people.
Yeah.
And, that's pretty much it. They didn't say or do a whole lot. They just blended in the logo and yeah.
Okay. Next, we have Mad Max.
Which again just had a little trailer. That's pretty much it. Except they did mention that you get an exclusive Road Warrior survival kit on PS4 again. If you get it.
Yeah.
Then that's pretty much the part with all the games, and then they mentioned a few more stats that we didn't really need.
And these stats were probably the highlight of the conference.
Well, no, yeah, and then they went into... They did actually something really smart here. They kind of trashed Microsoft a bit, indirectly, because they mentioned some more features of PS4. For example, that PS4 supports used games. Hint, hint, Microsoft.
And they also bashed them again by saying that PlayStation 4 doesn't need online to play single-player or offline games, and you don't have to re-verify yourself or re-authenticate
check in, basically,
like you do with Xbox One. So
yeah, no 24-hour check-ins. So I'm like, well played, played.
That's where they got their biggest applause of the conference, when they mentioned those things.
That was probably the best thing of the whole conference, probably.
Yeah.
They also mentioned a few features, such as the share button, where you can share on Ustream, Facebook, and Twitter. You can have a voice chat and stuff like that. And also the PS Network membership carries over if you had one for PS3. And if you would like to purchase one, it's $5 a month, pretty much.
That's pretty good.
Also, if you already have a membership, you get an instant access to Drive Club, the PS Plus edition, at launch. And if you also get one free game each month during the first year, such as, for example, Don't Starve, Outlast, or Secret Puncher. So some of those games that we're gonna put in the video description. Yep.
And that's pretty much it for that. They did end the conference with one more game, though, so they didn't end with just stats. And they announced a partnership between Bungie and Activision. Not Acclaim, Activision. In the form of Destiny.
It's basically a first-person game, pretty much a shooter with classes, and there's an upgrade system for weapons, and basically kind of reminded me of, it's online obviously, basically reminded me of Star Wars meets Dune. Dune, the movie.
Yeah.
That desert planet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I kind of see what you mean. Yeah, it really did.
That's seriously. They were playing. They had a segment where they played, and they were kind of trying to be like, well, not funny, but like they were kind of trying to copy that whole he's my buddy and I'm talking to him like,
yeah,
hey, what's your loot called? Like he picked up a gun of some sort when they finished one area, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, so what's your gun called? And he's like, it's called Get Behind Me and Follow Me or something. And I'm like, ah ha ha, clever.
Yeah, ha ha ha. And there's also a heavy online based support of the game as well. There seems to be like some kind of clan combat and whatnot. So.
Yeah, like some official event or whatever that
yeah,
is called.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. That was the last of
the only
games anyway.
Yeah. Okay, you want to get into that? The other thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
The only thing they did after they showed Destiny was they announced it's called Cloud Service. It's coming out in 2014 in the US. It's basically gaming anywhere, and it's basically, since PS4 has no backwards compatibility, unfortunately, I'm like, I figured, why would they if they didn't have it in PS3?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically their version of Virtual Console, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna basically release the games from the old PS consoles on this cloud service, so you can basically download it, probably not for free, and play it.
Mm-hmm.
Very last thing they mentioned was the price of the PS4, and this is another, I guess, triumph over Microsoft.
Yeah.
Except for the British people, unfortunately. I'm sorry, British people.
Mm-hmm.
Because the British one is £349, so it's $50 more, I think, for them.
Wow.
Than it was for I think the Microsoft one was $299 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Something with 200, so it's about 50 more at least. And it's $399 US, and again euros, so we're again getting screwed over here in Europe. But it's still cheaper than the Xbox, even if personally I don't know if there's a better game selection. I don't think so, really.
No, definitely not.
That was the whole conference, really, but now we come to the part where we have a lot of ranting to do.
Yeah, so let's get ready to rant. I'll let you go first. Cause...
Personal overall opinion. Man, this sucked. I've always been I'm not a Sony fanboy or anything, but I've always been rather fond of their, conferences, because they usually do a good job, and they have professional speakers. They don't do anything too much with bells and whistles, so to speak. They don't have a concert or like famous people on there or whatever. They just give the facts and go through it.
Mm-hmm.
But my God, that's so much. I mean, the stats are cool. I like some fun facts in between. That's cool. Like, we sold so and so many games. There are so and so many games in development. But it's just like this whole entertainment part. Again, for people who are interested in it, that's great. But why would you put it in the middle? Like, just put it either, I don't know, put it somewhere else. It just felt really slow, and I was getting so annoyed. It's just like, they were also so unspecific. It's like, there is content tailored to gamers, and I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Like, okay. And it's just like, they just took the Microsoft route, and that was too bad. Like, and I don't mean the Microsoft route from this year, because this year Microsoft was good, right? PS4 or the Sony conference was kind of just disappointing, because just too much blah blah in between, too little info on the actual games, and it's just, I also kept wondering, when are you gonna go back to what you used to do? And I'm not somebody who lives in the past or anything, but it's like, they used to have, on the PS2, which is my favorite console pretty much, they used to have games like Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Solid, God of War, and then they had other cool stuff such as, the Iris, which was a great RPG series, and a lot of, Okami. You remember Okami, right? So it's like, when are you gonna go back to doing that again? Mm-hmm. I don't feel like they're ever going to, which is sad. I mean, all they have right now is shooters, like stuff that looks like real life, quote unquote, shooters basically, and maybe a few RPGs, but they also, or adventures maybe, but they also all look real life. Like, what happened to that, I don't want to say cute stuff, but that more anime stuff, or that just anything but, quote unquote, real look.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're a gamer like me, who grew up with all those old stuff, like, Donkey Kong Country, and all that other stuff, Sonic, and, there's literally, like, no company right now that you can go to, really.
Yeah.
There's kind of Nintendo, but even they don't really impress me, so I'm like, where the hell does somebody like me go? I feel like the only way out is Steam.
Pretty much.
It's like Steam is doing what PS or Sony used to do. Because they have a lot of games, like some of those more anime games, like the Fortune Summoners or whatever. And, I don't know where to go. And I don't know, maybe it's just a one-person thing. Maybe it's just me, basically. Because everybody else is into shooters anyways, or into, I don't know, what else. Basically all this, well, I don't want to sound like a grandma, but this quote-unquote modern stuff. So maybe it's just me, but I just feel, as an old-school gamer, as an quote-unquote older person, you don't really find a whole lot to reconnect to your roots or to...
Yeah.
It's all about, here, take HD, and here, take those cool, awesome shooters, generic shooters. No offense, it's not like I hate shooters, but it's just so much of the same.
Yeah.
That's where I'm standing. So for me, it was just... Sony might as well not have even existed.
I know, and like you said, PlayStation 2 is one of my favorite consoles too. I have a PlayStation 2. It's one of the very few non-Nintendo consoles I owned, and I owned one because I loved the games that they had. I loved a lot of those old games, like hell, even the old like Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank games. After playing the game with you, I really loved Ulterior Iris, and again, there's a lot of great games that were on the PlayStation 2. The early Grand Theft Autos. I even loved the first Kingdom Hearts games. Like, they were good, but I definitely see where you're coming from. It's just like they are losing that connection with gamers like us. And that's actually why I've stuck to Nintendo for so long, because while even they are kind of trying to modernize themselves and do all these other directions, they at least keep the core characters and the core gameplay still intact. And that's why I definitely say I'm probably, of the three companies, I'm definitely the biggest fan of Nintendo. But that doesn't mean I'm Nintendo biased either, because I honestly thought Microsoft did the best this year. But I know I'm feeling the same way you do. I'm losing that connect with my gaming roots, and it's disappointing. It's disappointing. Hell, you saw me. At the very top of my notes, I wrote disappoint.
Yeah.
When we finished, because it's just like, that's what it was. I just wasn't really thrilled.
There's really, from Sony, there's nothing I'm really looking forward to. But The Walking Dead, but you can get that on Steam probably. Yeah. Whenever it comes out.
And that's another good point. Any of the games they showed that I had interest in, it's a Ubisoft title, which means multi-platform. I don't need to get that on the PlayStation 4.
Pretty much.
I can get that on the Wii U, which I already have. I mean, it's not going to matter, like, for a game like Batman Arkham Origins. Like, I don't really need a 1966 old bat suit to enjoy the game. I can just enjoy with the thing they gave me. So it's like, I don't know, the PS4 exclusivity did not really appeal to me.
Pretty much that. I personally, the last PS console I've had was PS2. I didn't buy PS3, even though I'm a Metal Gear Solid fan and whatnot, and an Devil May Cry fan, but it's like, it's not worth it for 2 titles, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm also not gonna get a PS4 because I don't see the appeal.
Yeah.
For Microsoft, I never had an Xbox. I didn't miss anything, honestly. I didn't have an Xbox or a 360, and I'm not gonna get a one either. I didn't have one. I didn't need one because the stuff I wanted to play was either on a computer anyway or on other consoles. And for Nintendo, sure, we had a Wii, which was good for stuff like, My Sims or, some of the Mario stuff, like Mario Party and all that other stuff, all that new stuff. But I still don't feel like the urge, I guess, to get anything newer than a PS2, especially because they're not backwards compatible, which is a big mistake.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they have this cloud service, but
when's that gonna work, and what games are even gonna be on there?
Yeah, and not only that, like, why should we rebuy games we already have and we paid like the full price for long ago?
That too.
Sure, it might only be like $5 or something, but still.
Yeah, even then, like, what the hell?
I know. It's just, it's very disappointing.
It's just too bad. Like people like us probably have to go over to Steam really, and that means they're gonna lose a lot of customers, like older customers. I mean, people who are born like just these days, basically, quote unquote, they might get into it, shooters and all that stuff, but because they don't know anything else really. Well, just to generalize. I guess. But people like us, we screwed pretty much, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like they're going back ever to anything like that. I would personally love if PlayStation or if Sony brought out another God of War, Metal Gear Solid, Devil May Cry, that stuff. Because personally, what people don't know is my favorite video game series is Devil May Cry. And that's the kind of stuff Sony brings out, generally. But if I'm personally even feeling like, PS, forget about it, even though I'm a fan of hack and slash and that kind of stuff, what's that saying about that company?
Exactly.
It's just like, whoa. Because God of War was on PlayStation, Metal Gear Solid was on PlayStation, Devil May Cry was on PlayStation. It's like, all my favorite series are on that console. But now they can't even get me to even look at them anymore, basically, because it's just not interesting anymore. Because they're just bringing out, here, have generic shooter number so-and-so. Honestly, from that list, I mean, some of those titles that they bring out for PS3 look kind of okay, like the Puppeteer. But only for like 2 or 3 titles, why would you buy a whole console?
Yeah.
It's too bad, because I would like to test that game and see, maybe it's cool. It's probably very cool, but
yeah,
I'm not gonna buy a whole console for that, especially if it's not even backwards compatible. If PS3 would have been backwards compatible, I would have bought it. Because PS2 games, PS1 games, I used to play Theme Hospital on PS1.
Yes.
Well, too bad.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, here's my rundown from this conference. PS Vita didn't show anything. PS3 showed very little. PS4, first hour of the console, They redeemed themselves, but even then, most of the titles they redeemed themselves with, you can get on other consoles anyway. So here's the deal. I'm not saying any of those games they showed were bad. Please, I want to make that clear right away. In fact, all those games might be really, really good games.
Yeah.
Who knows? Destiny may end up being Game of the Decade. Who the hell knows? But with the way they're showing these games, especially in the form of this conference, they just did not do a very good job.
It wasn't a turn on.
It wasn't.
They just show like a little cutscene and that's it. And I'm like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah. When I said the highlight of Sony's conference was them dissing Microsoft, that's kind of true, because it's the only part of the conference where my eyes really lit up. I was like, ooh, this is entertaining now, but that was only the last 20 minutes of the conference, and the other 15 was dedicated to Destiny. So it's like, I don't know. It's just very disappointing for me. I wanted more, and for the longest conference, they gave the least.
Yep. I would have expected more.
And what they promised us at the very beginning, too. That trailer. It's a shame.
They had a good concept, like this whole welcome to the new age, and you know, all this other stuff. They were professional, you know, and all that other, and the little tidbits in between, like, hey, look, we sold so many games, blah, and whatnot. But content-wise, they just, again, the games are probably good, but it just didn't showcase them at all.
Yeah.
I like a little cutscene is not gonna help me whatsoever. Like, if I don't even know what this is about, or what I need to do, what genre it's even in.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? A shooter, a hack and slash, an adventure? Like, you know.
Yeah, and this is not just Sony's problem. I think that a lot of other companies also did this as well. But I think it was definitely the most evident here.
Sony was the worst with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, we're not bashing Sony or anything like that.
No, I love Sony.
I do too.
Again, PS2, my favorite console ever. Period.
Yeah. Just get your act together.
Yes, please. Please, for next year. No more trailer after trailer without saying anything. They didn't even say anything in between.
Yeah.
Nothing. Oh, man.
And also, little tip, focus more on the Vita, because at this rate, Nintendo probably will destroy you with 3DS, because they're actually equally giving out coverage and information for both of their systems. And right now, one game is not really going to cut it for the Vita if that's all they're going to announce. I mean, just my personal opinion.
Pretty much. The only reason I would have wanted to buy a Vita when it came out was they had a good God of War, a new God of War, and a new Metal Gear Solid back then.
Yeah.
But again, 2 titles ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Price.
So yeah.
So that's our opinion about Sony.
Yeah.
I don't know. Feel free to leave your comments if you have a similar opinion or a different opinion or what you thought. We'd be curious. We're dying to know.
After this, we're really curious to what you guys think. Extremely.
We're dying to know here.
Because I'm tired of looking on like Wikipedia or news article pages where they're saying, oh, they're saying this is going to be the new generation of awesomeness. And it's like, no, you guys aren't gamers. We want to hear from the gamers.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so.
Oh, and if the comment section is too small, there's just 500 characters, then send a PM or link a page or something.
Please. So.
I'd be curious. Very, very.
So yeah, that's going to do it for Sony. We have one last conference to cover.
Yep.
So we'll see you tomorrow or whenever we get the video up for Nintendo.
Yes. Alright, so as always, thanks for watching, thanks for joining. Don't hate us for being very, very honest and blunt.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay.
See you next time.
Bye-o.
Bye-o.
Don't forget to leave your thoughts, share this video with a friend, and subscribe to not miss out on any more fun stuff. As always, thanks for your support. Bye, y'all.